military deployments in West Asia in years, positioning forces across the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea. Washington has deployed 12 jets in Jordan, a guided missile destroyer to the Red Sea, 3 combat ships to the Persian Gulf, 2 destroyers to the Gulf of Oman near the Strait of Hormuz, and the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln with 3 destroyers to the Arabian Sea. And Abraham Lincoln itself, one can say, is full of attack jets, helicopters, missiles. It's a moving port. It's a moving port, and if it is positioned, it means business. Now, long-range bombers have been placed on high alert, and Patriot and the THAAD air defense systems have been rushed to protect US troops in the region. The buildup places American firepower within striking distance of Iran's nuclear missiles and military infrastructure. President Donald Trump has openly warned Iran that failure to accept US demands could invite action with speed and violence. He said that time is running out for Iran and it is truly of the essence. He also reminded Tehran of Operation Midnight Hammer, saying that the next attack will be much worse. The indirect communication channels, mainly via Oman, the Trump administration has presented Tehran with 3 conditions. The first demand is to abandon the nuclear program. US demands that Iran must permanently end uranium enrichment, hand over its enriched uranium stockpiles and dismantle enrichment capabilities. The second demand is that Iran ends support for regional militias including Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis and Hashd al-Shabi militia. These proxy groups from Iran's main regional leverage against Israel and US allies. The third demand is that Iran scraps its ballistic missile program. The US wants limits on both the range and number of Iran's missiles, effectively neutralizing Iran's ability to strike Israel or US bases. For Tehran, this is the most dangerous demand because its missiles are its last remaining deterrent after years of war with Israel. Iranian officials say these demands amount to surrender. The escalation comes after a 12-day war with Israel last June. USA strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, violent suppression of protests inside Iran and intelligence indicating Iran is rebuilding parts of its missile program. Trump has drawn parallels with his Venezuela strategy, where a prolonged military buildup preceded a US operation that led to the capture of President Nicolas Maduro. Officials say Trump believes Iran's system is fragile, divided between Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and Revolutionary Guard and President Masoud Pezeshkian's government. Trump is also motivated by US intelligence claims that Iranian operatives had discussed assassinating him before his re-election. So what are the options that Trump has? 1. Precision airstrikes that target remaining nuclear infrastructure, missile production sites and military command centers. 2. Special forces raids, covert operations to destroy hidden enrichment facilities and high-value targets. And third, regime weakening strikes, attack designed to create enough internal chaos for the Iranian power structure to fracture, potentially threatening the supreme leader himself. Israel is pushing hardest for strikes on Iran's rebuilt missile program. Saudi Arabia has also been briefed with its defense minister in Washington this week. However, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio has warned that the regime change in Iran would be far more complex than Venezuela. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has rejected negotiations under military pressure, saying diplomacy cannot work through threats. Iran's military leadership has warned that any US strike would be considered as an act of war. Retaliation would include attacks on Israel, and US bases in the region are within missile range. Rear Admiral Ali Shamkhani said Iranian forces are on trigger alert and are prepared to respond to any aggression. For now, Trump is using military pressure to force negotiations. The buildup is meant to intimidate Tehran into accepting limits on nuclear missile and proxy activity. With American carriers in the Arabian Sea, destroyers near Hormuz, and Iranian missiles on alert, the region is now locked in a high-stakes standoff where miscalculation could trigger a conflict far larger than either side publicly claims to want. Now, on this issue, I am joined by Lieutenant General Shaukin Chauhan and Ambassador Deepak Vora. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. Ambassador Vora, your opening comments. Do you think that American strike is possible?
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Always a pleasure to be with you on your amazing channel. You have General Shaukin Chauhan. You don't need me. I'm going to have my dinner. Goodbye. He's able to handle all your questions on his own. All right. Let me put it to you like this. I've been 20 years in that area. You have said it so brilliantly, sir. that what Trump wants is 1, 2, and 3. Do you think Trump really cares? I'm only not talking about America as America. Let's assume that no other country in the world exists. Do you think America really cares if Iran builds a nuclear bomb, if it shoots 50,000 of its protesters, if it builds missiles which can't reach the United States? No, he doesn't care. What he cares about is Israel. That is the bottom line because Iran is sworn to the obliteration of every Jew in the world, the destruction of Israel. And that he will not accept because I've served in the United States. I go every year. The Jewish lobby is very, very powerful. So it's really to protect Israel that he's doing what he's doing. And the Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu has constantly said that Iran's nuclear program is an existential threat. Now, if we take all that into consideration, you'll understand that this massive hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent, sir, in these armadas going into the Arabian Sea and into the Gulf and so on. And that's not to carry out joint exercises with the Iranian military. They are there to clobber these guys, and Trump will do it. He has nothing to lose, except that he will, he'll spend money which he doesn't care. He's going to smash them. He's going to take control of whatever oil is produced over there. He will effect regime change. You will see this coming in the next 48 to 72 hours. He's determined to do it. Otherwise, his credibility will be minus.
Okay. General Chauhan okay, let me put it this way. Is there a difference between Venezuela and Iran? Is it possible to do a Caracas in Tehran, sir?
Good evening, Kartikeya. Such a pleasure to be with you, and always such an honor to be with the same panel as Ambassador. Thank you so much for calling me. Kartikeya, if there are two very major differences that exist between Iran and Venezuela. Firstly, is the leadership. The U.S. had a clear idea of where President Nicolas Maduro would be, and the guards were fragmented and available for this operation. As far as Iran is concerned, this is impossible. Firstly, you have the IRGC, that is the Iran Republican Guard, extremely competent, almost a lakh strong, and at the present moment, Ayatollah Khamenei, as well as the senior leaders, are already underground in unknown places. So it's almost impossible to do a regime change. As far as surgical strike on Iran to pick up the leadership is concerned, it's impossible. What might be possible is a limited strike, and what might be possible is the ability to change the loyalty of certain high figures in the Iran Republican Guard regime. That might have been done, that might have been spoken, and that might undergo a huge change the moment America decides to strike Iran. But the idea is that whatever they do, will they be able to change Iran's hatred of Israel? Will they be able to decapacitate its ballistic force? Will they be able to stop their nuclear weapons? And will they be able to prevent Iran's support to the Houthis or the Hamas or the Hezbollah? So, all in all, Kartikeya, whatever you do, it doesn't look as if any one of these issues will be successful.
Okay, let me ask. Let me put this question differently. Last time, when they hit Iran, they moved B-2 bombers, they moved logistic supplies. This time, when they went for a change in Venezuela, they moved an entire, aircraft carrier. Going by the deployment of the military, sir. Let's follow the military. What do you make of it? Why have they deployed Abraham Lincoln? They have deployed 3 destroyers. They have deployed jets in Jordan. They have deployed THAAD and Patriot systems in Al Udeid airport. What is this deployment telling you, sir?
Firstly, let's talk about the THAAD and Patriot systems. They are both defensive systems, established to prevent and to block the Iranian missiles that are likely to, start the moment the U.S. carries out an airstrike on Iran. The Iranians would definitely launch their ballistic missiles. There's no doubt about it. And the THAAD and the Patriot missiles are meant for that. So it's a defensive system. As far as the deployment of Abraham Lincoln is concerned, as far as the deployment of jets are concerned, as far as the deployment of all these forces are concerned, and you have mentioned them very clearly. in what you said, be in Jordan, in Bahrain, in Qatar, in the Indian Ocean. These people are there, but where are the combat troops? There is a fleet, but where are the combat troops? So if there are no combat troops, all that there are special forces, and all that they've got threatening them is with forced precision strikes and hope that these would lead to a regime change. These are the issues that they can do. I don't think President Trump is in a mood to bring about any kind of boots on the ground to change, to carry out a protracted war against Iran. But that's always the danger. Can he control the end point? Does he have the ability to prevent the end point from being reached, prevent a prolonged war? You remember 4 years ago we were discussing the Ukraine crisis and Russia went in, and we talked about the same issue, that if it doesn't end quickly, then it just carries on. So the issue about wars or issue about surgical strikes is that unless you plan for the end point, you're always going to land up with trouble. And America doesn't want to do another Iraq. It doesn't want to carry out troops and continue this deployment for too long.
Okay. It's time for a short break, but my question will be open to both of you gentlemen. Wars have political objectives. Every armed conflict has a political objective. So my question to Ambassador Vohra would be, when I'm back after a break, what will be the political objective of, even if there's a limited hard strike on Iran, what will America achieve this time?
तेरी एक जिद और फैक्ट्री वर्कर्स सब डबल।
रिटायर हो जाऊं क्या?
अच्छा, प्रॉपर्टी के अगेंस्ट लोन का आइडिया किसका था? पर बुढ़ापा आ गया हो।
इनकी जिद ने कारोबार भी बढ़ाया और रोजगार भी। टाटा कैपिटल लोन अगेंस्ट प्रॉपर्टी के साथ।
Open it up, what do you see? A champion inside you and me. Run, sing, build, dream so high. Touch the stars, reach the sky. At Orchid School we all believe every child's born to achieve.
रश्मि, ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ। छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े। नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। और बेटा, इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
अभी तो इसकी जीत का इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे। SBI लाइफ अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए।
So, Ambassador Vohra, the last time the strike had a political objective. They destroyed the nuclear sites. It gave an edge to the Israelis. It reconfirmed, re-established, re-energized the American-Israeli ties. Now, this time there has been no open provocation, except that there were protests and now the protests are not there. So, what is the political objective if there are strikes now?
All right, that's a very good question, very intelligent question. Now, my counter question to you is, does Iran belong to the Middle East? Is it an Arab state in the Gulf? It's 1800 kilometers from Israel. And one might ask a tough question, what on earth are you guys doing there? Stay where you are. The political objective is to emasculate Iran for a long time. The Americans haven't forgiven the mullahs for booting out their darling, the Shah of Iran, 1979. I was there, sir. I've seen what happened. So they haven't forgiven these guys. And these are the only guys who are anti-American in the region. I say this with considerable reflection. Even the Taliban are not as anti-American as the Iranians are, whatever the reasons for it. So the first thing is to neutralize Iran totally and have a pro-American regime. The political objective therefore becomes the entire Middle East, which is a tinderbox, is under American control. And of course the outpost for the Americans is a country you might have heard its name. It's called Israel.
Absolutely. General Chauhan, is it only about the fact that now, after the fall of Syria, you have a Sunni government there, a former Taliban guy, who has become the president, who Trump's meet in White House, that the entire Shia axis has been broken by the Americans. despite the fact that there is a tension between Mohammed bin Salman and Mohammed bin Zayed, and it's very evident that Mohammed bin Zayed was in India for 3 hours and signed a lot of deals. Despite that, America would like to go for this final kick?
Karthik, let me again throw this back to you. What is the likely option if something like this happens? The most likely option. And the most likely option would be, in case America went in with the greatest firepower, hit the Iranian leadership, what would they be replaced by? Military rule? Many think that this is the most likely option. When a regime is clearly as unpopular as this, and each successive wave of protests has actually weakened it further, there's a huge and pervasive security deep state with the vested interest in status quo. So what I think is, in the confusion of any of the aftermath of any US strike, it is conceivable that Iran will end up under the leadership of the military. And if that happens, nothing is going to change. So the idea that Iran can effect and have a sympathetic government, US can hit Iran and have a sympathetic government in Iran is unlikely. Absolutely unlikely, because there is no way they can decapacitate the complete leadership of Iran. And as Ambassador Vora says, it's 1,800 kilometers away. Why are they there? Are they there only to decapacitate the Houthis or the Hezbollah or the other proxies that Iran has, or to break the Shia rule? I'm not too sure. Of course, America carries a grudge. It carries a grudge against Iran because of what Iran did to them many years ago. And Ambassador Boris says he was there. It's a terrible thing to have on your resume, to be, your embassy is taken over, your people are under siege, and all those situations are there. But at the present moment, Kartikeya, I don't see this militarily happening. Maximum they might be able to change is one Khamenei for another harder Khamenei or a harder military rule. But I don't see any kind of sympathetic leadership coming up in Iran.
Okay, then before I close the discussion, let me ask this question to Ambassador Vora. Let's not go by what the Hollywood portrays, because the only thing they have to show for their success is Argo, which is a Hollywood film. We know what happened under Jimmy Carter's administration. The real thing, the helicopters went down. So my question is, So my question to you is, do you think that is there a genuine split between the clergy and the people as it is projected in the Western press? Is it?
Absolutely. There is no question about it. And also remember, sir, that the mullahs, the present mullahs, fought Iraq to a standstill. At that time, there was to be a character you might recall his
Saddam
name.
Hussein.
Fellow known as Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein's military had the latest American equipment. The mullahs fought them to a standstill. America remembers this. Iran must never again be able to challenge American preeminence in the region. That's the political objective. They have shown their capability, and if America bombs the hell out of these fellows, sir, out of the chaos, a movement will arise, because the mullahs have had their day. It's time for them to leave. The Iranians are not very, let me put it very blunt, they are not very spiritually inclined. They are not very Allahu Akbar types. When the Shah was there, there were direct flights from Tehran to Tel Aviv. I've taken one of them. Rich Iranians would go to drink and do whatever funny things they do in nightclubs in Tel Aviv. So that has all disappeared. But the people on the street, they have no issue with the Yehudis. They are not, except regime-sponsored demonstrations. People don't spontaneously detest the Jews. There are a large community of Jews in Iran. So therefore, it's just a question of wanting a regime that says, if America says jump, they ask, how high, sir? That's all that Trump wants.
Oh, absolutely, you are very right, sir. Actually, last 50 years have actually witnessed Sunnification of Saudi Arabia and Shiaification of Iran, where the real picture is far more complex, because they are ethnically and religiously very diverse places. It's just the regimes have invested in two different set of political religious culture. Thank you both of you for joining me. I've really run short of time. It's time for a short break, but in the third on point, after the break, we'll talk about the warning issued in the economic survey about the growing digital addiction.
इनकी जिद ने किया डेस्टिनेशन वेडिंग का सपना सच, टाटा कैपिटल पर्सनल लोन्स के साथ।
बहुत टायर्ड हो गई।
Take a date, not bites. नो एडेड शुगर, प्रिजर्वेटिव के बिना डेट्स, बादाम, पिस्ता, काजू और शहद से तैयार किया गया लायन डेट्स नट बाइट्स। लायन डेट नट बाइट्स।
कभी पानी जैसा खिलखिलाए, कभी चुपचाप जमीन बन जाए, कभी रोमांस के स्पार्क्स जलाए, तो कभी पेड़ों सा एवरग्रीन बन जाए। सेंको एलिमेंट्स ऑफ लव।
The Economic Survey 2025-26, tabled in Parliament on January 29th, has identified digital addiction as a significant and a growing public health and mental concern in India, especially among children and youth. With internet access nearly universal and smartphone use pervasive, the issue has shifted from one of the access to one affecting behavior, well-being and productivity. Excessive screen time and online use are linked to anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, sleep disruption, distraction in academic or work impairment. Gaming disorder, compulsive scrolling and social media overuse are contributing to social withdrawal and emotional distress. The shift comes in the context of India's booming digital economy. Internet connections have grown from 25 crore in 2014 to nearly 97 crore in 24. And digital services now account for a significant share of the national income. The survey emphasizes that while digital access has fueled economic growth and connectivity, compulsive and high-intensity use impose real social and economic cost if left unchecked. Rather than punitive bans, the economic survey lays out multi-layered preventive and behavioral health-focused measures to mitigate digital addictions and its impact. Suggestion number 1 is age-based access control and platform safeguards. The survey urges the government to consider age restrictions on social media and digital platforms for minors, along with stricter age verification, default safeguards, and limits on autoplay and targeted advertising. This is to protect younger users from addictive content exposure. Suggestion number 2, digital wellness and education. It supports introducing digital wellness curricula in schools and colleges, teaching screen time literacy, cyber safety, and health online habits. This aims to equip young people with skills to manage digital engagement responsibly. Suggestion number 3, parental and community interventions. The survey highlights the need for parental training on screen time management and community programs that promote offline activities, mentorship, and peer support to counter compulsive digital use. 4, mental health support systems. Recognizing that digital addiction overlaps with mental health issues, the survey recommends expanding the Tele-Manas helpline beyond crisis response to actively address behavioral addiction with greater integration into school systems and more trained counselors. Suggestion number 5, network level and device level safeguards. It suggests technological safeguards such as differentiated data plans prioritizing educational content, default blocking of high-risk categories, family plan controls with guardian overrides, and promotion of simpler or education-only devices for children. The survey situates digital addiction alongside other modern public health challenges such as obesity and diabetes, stressing that behavioral health risks can undermine human capital just as much as physical ailments. Meanwhile, countries that have banned social media include Australia, which has banned social media for under 16, France for under 15, and Denmark for under 15 with parental exemptions for those 13 and above. In fact, Indian actor Sonu Sood today requested the Prime Minister to impose a ban on social media for children under 16 and make it a national movement. Experts and policymakers now debate how best to translate these recommendations to policy and regulation. While there is global momentum for age-based digital limits and platform accountability, the economic survey emphasizes balance and education rather than outright bans, aiming to preserve the benefits of the digital economy with, while reducing its harm. I'm joined by Dr. Mimansa Singh Tanwar, clinical psychologist and head of Fortis School of Mental Health Program. Good evening. Your opening comments on digital addiction, madam?
I think it's a welcome step with what the government is passing on with the regulations. Working in the space of school mental health for now close to 15 years and more, I do believe that a lot of these suggestions that have been shared, we have been talking about how media literacy need to be a part of the school curriculum. It's something that has been required for a very, very long time, and finally, it has been acknowledged is something that we must, take as a positive step in the right direction. It's just the fact that I think everybody needs to do what they need to do. So where parents need to do what they need to do, and parents have also been struggling in this space for a very long time. We do get a lot of parents and kids with social media challenges, addictions, and it impacting their mental health, and so many other aspects of their life in our clinical setting as well. But at the same time, I think what certainly we require is a lot of psychoeducation in this space. We give and we use mobile phones a lot earlier in age without having any means of how we can go about it, neither in the form of literacy nor in the form of awareness. Even as adults, I think what we end up doing is a lot many times, what children tend to imitate. So passing on, messages without even checking the credibility of those messages.
Dr. Mimamsa, do you think that, this mobile phone can actually deliver, if I have to add everything, this whole thing of instant gratification, it's a doorway to porn, food porn, satiating your impulses immediately, connecting you with the things you desire, but disconnecting you from the people who are there. You can be in your own world despite being surrounded by people. As someone who understands human mind, as a clinical psychologist, is this a split in a way the humans as species have evolved?
Instant gratification, yes. And we also need to understand